And we are recording. So, my name is Drake Lundstrom. I guess going to be sort of emceeing this. This is the video history of the UC University of Cincinnati Young Americans for Liberty. We have apparently existed for just about 12 years. I only learned this recently. I was only the president from maybe 2015 through 17 or something in that range. And I did not realize how long our club's been around. So we're just going to kind of run through as many old and current members as we can and talk a bit about each of the different presidents' terms and all of the crazy things that our club's done and kind of how we're going to keep moving it forward for Liberty. So, Chris, you're up first. Who was president? How long did they last?
All right. Howdy. I'm Chris Gill. I was one of the co-founders of Cincinnati YAL, along with my buddy Chris Morbitzer. I don't remember what year we founded it. We were both, we were there in 2008. Chris and I were both in the marching band, and which is, I think, how we met. And I do not remember any of the details for how it got started. I remember being out one day and we put the group together somehow. Probably in 2009 was when we actually started holding meetings. So we were kind of running off the Ron Paul. Ron Paul was still definitely around and kicking and running for president. So we were kind of going off of that momentum. YAL was cropping up everywhere. So we started a Cincinnati chapter and laid the groundwork for that. Bureaucracy is a thing at UC. My saying is you can't spell bureaucracy without UC. So we, back in those days, if you wanted to, say, pass out pocket constitutions with the YAL contact information on it, you had to be on McMicken lawn Monday, Wednesday, Thursday between certain hours, and then Tuesday, Thursday between other hours, and you had to get written permission to do X, Y, and Z so many days or weeks in advance. And it was a hassle to do meetings. So our big, I think our big coup was, I don't remember what year this was in. I'm sure it's in the court records, was our free speech lawsuit, which I hear still has a legacy. And in fact, a buddy of mine in Kentucky teaches debate club at one of the high schools, and that lawsuit was actually one of the pieces of evidence for their debate club. So with Maurice Thompson and the 1851 Center for Constitutional Law, they took on our case, and we basically sued for free speech violations. I'm not going to say we entrapped, but we were passing out petitions for, it was SB 5 was circulating at the time. It was ostensibly an anti-public union bill. So this was, I think, an initiative for that. We were passing out petitions on Main Street, where we were politely stopped by campus security and told we were not allowed to pass out information without it meeting the approved criteria, which was the kickstart for our lawsuit. It was a successful lawsuit, so as a result, we got a lot of things changed for the campus policies for dictating how student organizations are run and how students and members of the public are allowed interacting on public.
And just talk a bit about how it was maybe like 1% of UC's total square space and only like some days a week. Something crazy.
Right, it was. Somebody somewhere did the actual math. If you take the area of Cincinnati, I mean, it was McMicken, the lawn on McMicken in front of that, in front of the college there. And, you know, that little area between TUC and Main Street, kind of at the top of the hill there. Right, and it was, certain days had different, I mean, it's like the college schedule. So you have the Monday, Wednesday, Friday classes, and you had like certain class time hours where you are allowed holding events or having free speech. And then like Tuesday, Thursday, it was different times. And then everything had to be pre-approved. I think it was like 2 weeks in advance or something like that. So pulling up a map here. Yep, that little just spot. And so, you know, I don't know if it's 1% or 2%, but it's a teeny little portion. So right about there. And, you know, there may have been other areas or something like that, but it was, you know, there's the charter formula and you had to get, just everything had to be pre-approved. And it was impossible to just, if you wanted to after class one day, just go and just stand outside and, you know, pass out constitutions or something like that. You technically were in violation. So, and
all the clubs do now, like all the clubs do is stand
that's
along and make
good to
street
hear,
signs.
honestly. And even just, you know, speaking kind of casually, it's just, I'd love for everybody to be able to do that. So, and then I think the first thing that happened, of course, which was a really interesting test for it, is one of the anti-abortion groups, I think it was an outside group, it wasn't a student group, came in with the big giant posters and stuff like that. And
They're still there today.
there's, I believe it. We had Brother Micah, was an old favorite, who would come around and talk about how everybody's going to hell and stuff like that. So yes, it's one of those, even if there are people you don't agree with speaking, especially for a campus, you know, the ability to speak and to be able to hear other people is very important for education. And just, if you're going to be a student on campus, being able to hear about student activities is nice. Like, as students, it should not be a giant, there shouldn't be a gauntlet to run every time you want to talk about, you know, let's have a club after school and talk about, you know, economics or something like that.
So besides, obviously that's a really big one. Do you have anything else in your term that you were especially proud of? Anything that really stood out?
Probably, if I can think back that long. One of the, it's a bit passé now, but we were involved back when the Tea Party was still a thing and hadn't been completely and utterly co-opted by the GOP. So there was the Voice of America, the radio station, did a rally in 2009 after the TARP stimulus stuff came out, protesting that. And YAL, we had a booth there. So this was a big Cincinnati event. I think there was like 10,000 people or something like that there. And I'm sure I've got a picture on Facebook where I have just unkempt long hair back in the day, awkward early photos. So I do remember that was kind of my first experience as a teenager, really getting out and being political, and seeing the group. It was, you know, just started by a handful of us, really not kind of just getting interested in politics. So, you know, you're in college and it's something new and exciting. Getting out and sharing that was kind of fun. And then the more mundane thing is, I think actually just our group surviving is really cool to me. The fact that it didn't just completely disintegrate when Chris and I graduated and went on to do other things, that like people were still interested in YAL as an organization and picking up and carrying off.
And speaking of that, what would you like to pass on to the current club, kind of from what all you did and learned?
Well, keep going, first of all, and then second of all, thank you for continuing on. I really appreciate it, and it's very good to hear. And I guess with that hindsight now, I can pass on to say somebody will pick back up where you left off, even if there's some lulls and some up and downs. There's going to be somebody somewhere out there who has that same kind of that inkling of, I like the idea of liberty and I want to talk about it and share it with people. What can I do on campus that's related to that? And they'll find you guys somehow. So even when we were, you know, a little, probably we've only, you know, grown in notoriety, especially with the lawsuit. So when we were starting out, it was hard to get the word out, you know, being a new club and being small. But you know, don't be upset if you don't have 200 people coming to every meeting, because none of the clubs work that way. It's just, if you've got a core group and you guys are doing your thing, you guys can make some stuff happen, even if it's not huge, even if you don't get a lawsuit every 4 years or whatever. Just kind of being involved in the process and getting a lot of people, it's kind of getting your feet wet, and that carries on. So I think just even talking to some of you guys, you know, people use that as a springboard to go explore politics and do other things. So I'd say definitely just keep it up and keep going, and people will keep picking it up as the years go by.
Sounds good. And then speaking of which, the club did keep going. And Matt, were you the next president after Chris, or is there a little bit in between you?
To be honest with you, I don't know, because there wasn't a club when I was there. It only existed on paper. So I don't know.
Sounds plausible. What year did you
The
start?
club entirely.
I want to say 2000, end of 2010, I
Okay.
think,
So that
or 2011.
11 would probably make more sense because I think
Yeah.
Chris and I were gone by then.
Okay.
And I don't know if we didn't pass on the reins to anybody in particular. So it's not that we had it was a small group that kind of ran it, and then we were out. We were like, we were tired with school stuff, and it's like, I don't know. Well, somebody will figure it out. So we left it. So I think 2011 was.
Yeah, I think it was the
out.
beginning of 2011 because I went to here. Look, I got a little slideshow because I'm overachieving here.
Nice.
It's not even a slideshow; it's a folder on my computer.
Also, let me know, and I can pull up the Officer Frisk video. We won't do too much of it, but we could do a little bit.
Oh, I know that.
Can you guys see my screen?
Yeah.
All right, this was the 2011. Yeah, I think this was the 2011 convention, national convention. Anyway, I got the bug from Ron Paul and went to the convention. Got super hyped. Realized there wasn't one. We were trying to restart the group. I'm remembering now in early 2011. I went to the convention, got super amped up over it. I was super like, we got to do this. We got to figure something out, right? So anyway, yeah. So that summer, it was just me. I was trying to start something up, and towards the end of the summer, we started. It was just like, just constant. I don't even know, campaigning for the group. Like it was just constant stuff going on. So like
I heard so many stories of what you did. You guys built an entire like free speech wall. Like you actually set up a wall on campus. You brought in dunk tanks and you did crazy shit.
Bruh, so like I was like, how do we get the word out right? So I just thought big, right? So we set up this. I had this chick I knew, her name. Am I allowed to say that? This lady I knew, her name's Melissa. She was super handy, and I asked her if she could build like a frame. So she did. She had a pickup truck and a toolbox, and I had her drive the truck right there in front of the campus, right there onto the thing. No one questioned it because we looked official, like whatever. I had her build the frame, and then we went and bought some boards, and then we encouraged people to come up and just write whatever they wanted, and we just engaged with people, handed out literature. If you can look on the table, I still have some of the books right here. I just pulled off my bookshelf. iPencils, obviously,
nice,
a classic. But yeah, we just engaged people, and I got a dunk tank in. We set up a booth. And that's the chick right. That's the Melissa right there. That's she built the wall for me.
Nice.
So yeah, we got a dunk tank going. This girl was, I think she was like, I can't remember her name. She was like the regional rep for like our area for or whatever. So I had good contact with her, and she helped me with a lot of stuff. We did other things. This is my favorite one. This is the most trolly thing I think we did besides Officer Frisk. Pin the drone on the war zone. So people would walk up, we'd spin around and pin it, and there's nowhere on the map where you can't pin it that we hadn't bombed.
Nice.
So that we engaged conversations that way. We had this is one of the early events that one of the club events early on at the beginning of the year. So people can come up and take the little quiz, and then they get pinned on the board, and then, engage people. But so here was the thing. After doing all of this stuff, no one joined. Like I couldn't get anyone to join. I hosted one meeting and no one showed up. I finally talked Mike, my buddy, that's Mike right there, Officer Frisk, aka Officer Frisk. I finally talked him into doing it with me. So he started helping me. We did, let me see if I can find it. It was around the time we did the...
Were Jimmy and your sister in the club then, or not yet?
Not yet, no. Okay. So around the time we did the pin the drone on the war zone here, I got some chalk, and I was like, you know what? Let's just chalk up the campus. So we did. I got people, I don't remember her name. I don't remember anybody's name at this point, but I got her to write all this chalk out. And then probably like 100 feet before you see this one, There's another one that said Yao meeting Thursday, Swift 500, 6 p.m. or something. I can't remember what it was. So anyway, we're doing all of this stuff, trying to get people. I mean, I printed out probably 1,000 flyers, and we hit every dorm. Couldn't get anyone to come. So it was just me and Mike finally, and we were just giving up. We were putting so much work into it. We couldn't get anyone to come out, and we were having good conversations with people, talking about stuff and trying to get issues out on the table and stuff. Anyway, this day we chalked. The next meeting, me and Mike said to each other, if we don't get anyone to come this week, we're just going to call it quits, because I mean, it's been 3 weeks of just like aggressive stuff and nothing's happening. So 6 o'clock rolls around. We're in Swift 500. I remember this because me and Mike are just sitting there defeated. 6 o'clock rolls around. No one walks in. 6:05 rolls around and 8 people walk in the room. Like everyone walked in 5 minutes late. And this was the group that we started. So this was us. This was us right here. Yeah, like 8 people walked in, and then it just went off from there. So we just started doing a bunch of other things. That was when so here's where I took Mike out to Indiana to the costume store. And I found this Officer Frisk, or the Reno costume. So I said, go put this on, and he did. He came out, and we were like, all right, we're going to do an event. This is our first event we did at campus. Was we had I can't remember the attorney's name. We had him come out and do a session on like how to deal with cops if you get pulled over, like DUI stuff. Like Know Your Rights is what the event was called. So I had Mike come out and act like a cop, giving people citations for just the dumbest stuff or whatever. And so we put them in the Reno, and that was really popular. Yao, the National Yao picked it up, and they shared it everywhere. And they loved it. So we made a second one. And here's where I used to work at a paint store when I was at school. And here's where I took an old broomstick, and that's a paint roller. I just tied it to the thing and spray painted the whole thing black. And we did an NSA one. That was the second one you guys saw earlier.
And I'm going to cut in for a second, actually show a little bit of the video. And this video will be posted on the UC Y'all Facebook page. And that other video is also on the UC Y'all Facebook page. So you can just watch it all whenever you want to. Okay, should be.
The police officers loved him on campus. It was hilarious. I don't know if the audio is coming through. Look at her. She looks so scared.
I'm back down here at UC. I am NSA sent me this microphone thing.
You guys recorded this whole thing in one day?
This one, yeah, it was probably 4 hours of recording, just walking around trolling people. And this is the second time we did it.
So, gonna see if I can catch me some terrorists. Good. Just keeping you safe. So, what if I said I was the one sharing all the materials? Because in 2000,
they love them white thighs. Good Lord.
Just the truth, man. I ain't afraid to hide anything. I ain't doing nothing wrong. He took my picture? Yeah. Oh, appreciate him violating my privacy.
You're going to have to share the links and get people out here watching these.
What Stop that! Stop that! You stop that!
I'm going to leave it on a
That was the by the way, that was the second uniform. We did so much in the first uniform, it was just like disgusting. I think we like sweated through it. So I had to go out and buy a second one.
I don't even know what you do to it to destroy it that bad.
It was so cheap, the material. I was just like, I ain't touching that. Just throw it away and I'll go get you another one. But man, after that it was like really good. There was a lot of the people who started coming were super into it. We started we started gaining a lot of traction with Yale National. I was in a lot of conversations with them about stuff. They started helping us with some stuff. We ended up organizing the Ohio convention at the beginning of 2012. So by the end
so
of
you
that
did
year,
so you did more than one Ohio convention? Because you
No,
also
so-
did the Ohio convention in 20, I think, 14. Well, I guess that would have been
yeah,
after you.
I don't know what happened after me, but at the end of 2011, I had set up the convention with Yale National for Ohio.
Yeah, no, we the club actually hosted another Ohio convention within like 2 years later or something like that.
Ah, yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, I think it was
Yeah,
actually the last
we
year
won.
before they started doing only regional conventions. We hosted one, so it was nice.
Nice. Yeah, Yale recognized us in some edition or something. We were like the fastest growing group in the country there for a minute, and they gave us some like money to spend on some of this stuff because we were doing really well. But yeah, it was a bit of a blow up there that fall, and so around that, I don't know. Can you guys still see my screen?
Yep.
Oh, okay, cool.
We
I
can
just got
see
this-
you, but not your
Oh,
screen
pardon
currently.
me.
So
Now can you?
we're still seeing you.
Oh, it ain't that big of a deal.
Here. Oh, it's sharing your screen now. Yep, you're good.
So this was the beginning of 2012 before the convention. This was around the time that, and look at Lil Wee Drake back here.
Yeah, we stayed in that room for a long time. I didn't know I actually made it to one of the meetings while you were still president.
Yeah, well, this was around the area where, so there was 3 things that I wanted to do. I wanted to build something that sustained. So I wanted to like make sure we had a program in place to train and keep the mantle going. I wanted to host a convention, and there was a third thing, and I can't remember. Anyway, so it was pretty sweet. I mean, we were able to do it. So these meetings here, we started getting together and we were playing Cards Against Humanity that winter because we just didn't want to go outside. So we started getting people together and we were just being super non-PC, playing Cards Against Humanity. You can
There
see the
were
little
so
black
many
boxer
YouTube
thing.
videos shown and so many Alex Jones compilation videos shown.
Yeah, so this is around the time where I handed the torch off to Mike. We didn't have like an election for Mike. But one of the things, that was the other thing, is I wanted to like actually build some amount of like standards for the group. So we had some sort of like structure or bylaws and like voting in place and stuff like that, which I don't believe I was able to do, but I think you guys set up with Mike.
Yeah, so it happened a little bit after you left, but actually there was a graduate student at UC that had started a y'all chapter, I think University of Kentucky, and he was too busy to join our club really, but he saw how his club fell apart after he left, so he wrote a constitution for us.
Gotcha.
I think there's still a signed copy of it floating around somewhere in the bucket of y'all stuff, but we had a big constitution, couple revising sessions, and then all signed the paper together and scanned a copy of it.
Yeah, yep.
I just want to know, out of curiosity, did UC Student Services ever tell you that we had a constitution and bylaws on file?
So when I had tried to organize it, you have to have like a professor sign off on everything.
Yeah.
So we had to get a new professor, and when we did, I think we just I guess we just like started from scratch.
Sure. Interesting.
But I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I had no idea. And the professor who I don't remember her name either. The professor I had gotten to help us do all this stuff, I can't even remember the connection with her, to be honest with you.
It was her husband was more interested in Liberty stuff.
Something like that. Yeah.
Because she was still the same one, and she never got interested in Liberty, but was just
she didn't like help us at all.
Signing on that we are a club, and that's all it takes.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, to be fair, the professors get literally nothing for it. It's just more responsibility. So that's always a hard part. Just doing any student group there was getting a professor to sign off on it. It's like, hey, professor, like, would you like to do more work for absolutely no pay? Yeah, that sounds exciting.
So anytime I needed anything, I just emailed her and she signed off on stuff. So
that's good.
She was just there. So
were you any good at using club funds or not?
Yeah, I used a lot. Well, not from the university. I was getting a lot of money from Yao because we kept getting. I can't remember her name. I wish I could remember her name. You guys don't recognize her, do you?
I don't think so.
Can't say I do.
She helped me a lot. She helped pay for a lot of stuff from Yao, and we won
Awesome.
like some award. We got like $1,000 grant or something. But anyway,
Did any of you guys later down the pipeline take advantage of club funding?
Yeah, so I didn't manage to, but when I moved on, they managed to get pretty good at it because the club gives, the university has like $4,000 set aside for the club each year.
Yeah.
They finally figured out how to actually, $5,500. And Charlie is really the one that got good at that. And he took the whole club down to one of the Mises summits and like paid for hotels and everything.
oh,
Cool.
Lots of fancy stuff.
I was going to say for any student groups, that was, I don't know if is the garden club still around out of curiosity? Does anybody know?
I don't remember.
That was one of my other ventures.
Who get less money is actually the sports clubs. They get a lot less money.
Interesting. The actual student organizations have some money behind them with strings attached, but if you figure out how to use it and plan ahead, we actually did, I realized another thing we did was the ATF Weekend. So there's that joke, alcohol, tobacco, and firearms shouldn't be a federal administration. It should be a convenience store. So that was one of our outreach days. We did an event, and we went to one of the shooting ranges off the freeway, got cigars and, hung out, stuff like that. So I think we actually did end up doing a YAL retreat one day with that. So, and then I remember just being in the garden club, I was there, one of their co-founders, and probably spent 2 hours in the first meeting just trying to explain everything they wanted to do was not allowed by university regulations in some way, and then how to use the university funding. So there's a little bit out there. It's just obviously strings attached and figuring out how to use it.
Yeah, I never used it well because one of the big requirements is getting your paperwork submitted at least like 2.5 weeks before the event, and I never managed to do that.
Right. Well, and I mean, you've got to have stuff planned out that far, and when you don't have a head count, it's just...
Although there was like $300 of like easier to use funds, and I used a lot of that for flyers, and I almost got us a custom y'all beer pong table, and I did not manage to pull it off. Like it just ran out of time filing stuff.
Oh, we had a bear pong thing. It was like there were buckets. Like instead of little cups, there were buckets, and you had like a big ball to play. So I had it set up for one of the recruiting things. Someone came by, like a professor, and was like, "You got to take that down. That's not." She was just triggered because it advocated alcohol or something. I'm like, "This says bear pong. We're the Bearcats." But anyway,
we had an unofficial fundraiser. Actually, I think it was the Libertarian group that was had some overlap back when that was a thing. We had a game. One of our guys came up with. He called it Schlitzkrieg. So if you know what Schlitz beer was, it's nasty, but it's college beer. So it's basically, we did a scavenger hunt, and I forget how we did it, but he just it was like at 3 a.m. went around hiding bottles of Schlitz on campus. And it was a scavenger hunt. So go find them and chug them. And then however many of the empty bottles you bring back or something, you got into a raffle or something like that. So I was just imagining the police finding that and that being a fun mess. So I don't openly advocate that as a fundraising activity, but it was a fun college activity.
So Matt, what were you proudest of during your term? What's the big thing that you feel?
It's got to be Officer Frisk. Like that was my baby. Even though Mike executed that was just like I pitched him the vision. Granted, he took it, but then I put it together.
Okay. What was your biggest regret, and is there anything you would have done differently?
We almost had Thomas Massey for the convention. I was super upset we couldn't get him.
Oh, actually, he came to the next state convention.
Did he? Dang.
He and Tom Woods both came.
Well, that was around the time that I had sort of was grooming Mike to take over, and I left the country around that time, so I didn't actually even go to the convention. I hope get it together, and then I left. But so I guess it's probably one of the regrets there. I wish I was able to stick around and see it keep going. But
and then, what would you like to pass on to the current club?
I don't even know. I mean, I don't know. I mean, it was crazy starting it up because for just like 3 weeks, it was like a lot of just work. And then once we got it up and going, it just, it like, I don't know. It was a thing of its own. It was pretty sweet. I guess my encouragement would be to just keep being consistent. I know I mean, there was people there that I remember when they came on, like I still have friends from that group, um, that had, I don't know. I have no idea, honestly. I would just say keep being consistent and keep at it.
Nice. Then I'll tell the later part of Michael's term. So kind of he took over as president, and I was not great when I started out at UC, y'all. Like I think we were talking about Israel-Palestine stuff, and the what I shared to make my argument about kind of like being more involved in the Middle East was Netanyahu's speech to the Congress. Like that was my evidence. Yeah, a little bit clueless at the time. But we had Tom Woods came to the state convention, and I had no idea what he was talking about, but I remember he had a podcast, and that summer I walked a bunch. So I just started listening to the podcast, and like by the time fall rolled around, I listened to like 500 episodes or so, or whatever, however many were out at the time. I'd started learning some stuff, and one of the last big things of kind of Mike's reign was the first great debate, and this was miserable and tiny. We had, I want to say, maybe like 40 people, and the Republicans did most of the organizing, and that was kind of when Brad was first kind of doing a lot of stuff with the Republican, young Republican group on campus. We were in the engineering building in one of the kind of crummy rooms, and our setup for the debate was not a good decision. Ooh, yeah, that's a good book back there. I think I'd have to go in the other room to get my copy. I think I have a signed copy of one of Tom Wood's books. But we set up the debate, and the format was 3-minute or like a 5-minute opening statement. Then on each topic, you get a 3-minute opener and then like a 2-minute rebuttal. So it was very slow and academic, and there were only like 2 questions in the whole Q&A, and it wasn't terrible. I think that we already had problems getting Democrats at the first debate. We've always had problems getting Democrats, but it survived. It worked. It was going okay. Then the spring came along, and Michael, his wife there were reasons that he had to leave school. So he left, and I instantly got upgraded from treasurer to president. And I had luckily just taken a bunch of the stuff home with me after the previous great debate. And we were down to maybe 2 or 3 members. And I was under the impression the club had been going strong for a while. Like I saw when you guys had all those 8 members roll in, there's like 12 of us in the room. And I thought that was normal. I was like, I'm not going to let this club fucking die at my watch. Everyone else does such a great job, and it's been so big for so many years. I can't let it go down the drain now. And now I'm hearing that this was all a lie. Man, this is harsh. But coming into spring, Ashley was still VP, and Jimmy was kind of hanging around a bit, but he was really busy because he was about to graduate. So I was essentially doing every other role at once. And we had some freshmen wander in. Actually, Justin, were you in that first group with Jesse and Bryson? Either Justin?
I was not.
I was there when Jesse and Bryson were there.
Yeah, you were there in the start. I don't know what we did, but somehow managed to pull in like 4 new people. And then you guys showed up for literally 2 or 3 meetings in a row. And then I'm like, you know what? We're holding elections. You're all getting positions. And a bunch of freshmen became like our secretary and treasurer and everything. I think we had Tommy back then. I went through so many treasurers. I think I had 3, maybe 4 treasurers because everyone would be grooming to do president. They'd be doing such great stuff, and then they disappear off the face of the earth every time. I don't know why.
That's fairly normal. Just for any organization you're going to be in politically, just as a heads up. So it's nothing you did. It's just part of how that works.
Drake, how many years? Like, when did you start being president?
I started in the spring of, I want to say 2015, and I think I finished in the fall of 2017. No, 20.
Wait, when did?
Yeah. So I did 2 years straight, but just I started in the spring and ended in the fall, so it was weird.
Yeah, because then you went to Japan, right, in the spring of 2017.
Yep. So I was there when we signed the Constitution, and here, actually, I pulled up a couple pictures since someone else is sharing pictures. I can't lose. I think this was our biggest free speech ball. We got a 10-footer, I think, because the free speech wall seemed really cool, but that's a lot of work. So we just did giant inflatable balls we rolled around campus a bunch.
That's Jimmy right there?
Yep, that's Jimmy.
I remember Jimmy.
So we did a number of these. Well, I think this was the only one that was this big. And I think it was actually so big that we kept using it for like 3 days straight because it just didn't get full of stuff. And there were some great things that happened with it. I do remember it was really funny when like a bunch of little kids came up to it and then they noticed that there were swear words on it and started just like scribbling over the swear words because the little kids knew those were no words. I don't have many photos though. This is a photo of it heading needs into. This is a little bit after my time, so I guess it's a bit unfair of me to share that. But I'll try to go through a few of the fun events. So after the Great Debate 1, which had like 40, 50 members, where the Republicans are co-sponsoring, we essentially took it over and ran it the rest of the time up through the present. We always had trouble finding Democrats. And we had to pull people from like the Bernie Sanders campaign booth, or one time we pulled a person off of like the Democrats wouldn't show up. We managed to get a guy from the Hillary Clinton campaigning table and like one other person on stage, and they were awful. And I think it was the worst. I believe we've won every single debate, or at least beaten the split. But that one, the Democrats, I think, got 0 votes, and they just got totally trashed. But originally, I wasn't even sure about bringing the socialists on stage because they weren't actually a club on campus. I went out to meet them off campus because they had been organizing the Fight for 15 marches and things like that. I went to meet them and kind of learned that they use entirely different terms and different definitions than we do. So I need to learn a little bit more before debating them. We invited them on campus for a socialism versus capitalism debate as kind of like a trial run to see if we want to conclude them in our great debate where we have Republicans, Democrats, Libertarians, and eventually socialists. And I still think they've never done the socialism versus capitalism debate. We've been offering them some invitation.
Garrett and Vinay did it, not this year, but the year before.
Really? So it only took them what?
And it was good. We had a good turnout and everything. I'll show pictures of that.
Did you get a video?
Yeah, it's on the YouTube.
I haven't actually seen this. I need to go back and watch it. But they would not do that. So we were not letting him in the debate at first. We weren't sure. And then we did let him in the debate. Best thing we ever did. We, in a single debate, reduced their membership by at least a third. Because the club was half Bernie Sanders Democratic Socialist and half really strident socialist. And they didn't realize how different they were. So we got the strident socialists, the ones that go on stage. And on stage, they are standing up there saying, North Korea would be great if the U.S. would stop, holding them down. And Cuba has a better healthcare system than the U.S. And Venezuela has a great economy except for U.S. sanctions. And they just tore themselves apart. And it was great. It was so great. I'm sad I didn't get them up there sooner. And once they had done that, they didn't even want to come back for a second debate. They've been asking for 2 years to get on it, and then they didn't want to come back for a second one. And we're like, you know what? We'll give you some concessions. They originally asked some really crazy ones. They said they want 10-minute opening statements for each group and no Q&A. They just wanted to only give a chance to speak and nothing else. But we kind of negotiated them down, gave them their pick of topics, and got them back up stage. Destroyed themselves again, and that's about when their club died. And I think Garrett can talk a bit more about that. What other crazy stuff did we do? The host the other state convention for the debates. We now don't need to do as much advertising, but at first we weren't sure about it and didn't really know what all is going into it. So I want to say for the second or third debate, we went through maybe 4,000 or 5,000 flyers. Like we tabled for about a week straight, flyers on all like the signboards on campus, even some chalk and other things, lots of stuff. And we've consistently had at least 100 people at the debates since the second one, except there's one where we didn't do that well because it was like the day after the election or something, which is really bad timing. But we did a lot. And then from that, actually, we built up an email list, and I believe it still has like 400 people or something on it. So it's still going strong. That's actually one of the big things for me is kind of that email list is kind of lets things keep growing smoothly, relatively speaking. So the club's continually grown more and more. Did some other fun events. We passed out. We got a bunch of little baggies and filled them with oregano and passed them out as a drug legalization thing. It never went anywhere. I wanted this to work so bad. I think we did it like twice or 3 times, and I actually got like some, and they all little flyers in them with like a funny drug fact and then like our contact information. And we had like one teacher reach out to us and say how great us were doing this, but no one ever showed up for it. No one ever cared. People thought it was a bit funny with it, like we're passing out baggies of fake drugs on campus and people wanted real drugs. I'm like, I cannot afford that. We're passing out hundreds of thousands of these. Y'all had a bunch of movie showings going, which is kind of weird. I'm trying to remember if there's anything else too crazy. Then I'll just
Hold up, you had movie showings.
Yeah, so y'all would do had movie screenings that we could do. Like there's the Can't Take a Joke documentary that's like about comedians talking about how people are stopped supporting free speech in college campus and how they started kind of being oppressing free speech in college campus. Or we did one about the Dark Web and Snowden. I
had the movie theater booked for a movie one day, and they canceled it on us like the day of.
Really? We actually hosted a debate in the movie theater, and we also screened Dave Smith's Libertas in it. But we never actually showed any movies in the movie theater. Ironically, we always showed them in other random rooms. There's a lot of big, good rooms on campus that have a really big projector, like just Bronstein ones or stuff like that.
Yeah, I probably should have done that.
But they were not super effective. We started hosting a bunch of crazy parties. We had all the meetings. Well, originally, when I started over, I followed kind of Michael's and Matt's tradition, and the meetings went from like 7 till 10. And I know eventually they got a bit shorter. I'm trying. Okay, I'll just go through the questions myself, and I'll chime in if I think of anything more for the rest of it. So, what was I proudest of? The email list was pretty big. And there's some other stuff with tabling, with like giving out all the free waters during the open. Everyone copies us now. It used to be we were the only table giving out waters during the opening weekend, and that got us like hundreds of signups that no one else got. But I think the big thing I'm proudest of would be that I changed the constitution of y'all and put it so you cannot be president your last like semester or 2 before you graduate. And now we have like the past president sticks around while the new president learns the ropes. The past president can kind of take whatever they're still a motivated, energetic person, but now they can work whatever passion project they have instead of getting totally burnt out their last semester when they're really busy, and they're around to help out while the president is figuring out things from scratch. So I don't know. I feel like it's been really successful, although I guess everyone after me is going to probably bash the system. I try to put in some other stuff too with some understudy systems where it's like each position can give someone under them power to like start give them meetings, but I don't know. It never really took off. No one ever really had an understudy except the president and maybe the treasurer. The biggest regret, I think my biggest regret would not be doing more activism. There was a lot of we had a lot of meetings that were informational and kind of did stuff. There was a lot more hanging out at meetings, and there was a lot of times I was like, oh, we should probably do some activism, and then we never really decided what to do, and then nothing really happened. So we were doing probably one event every 2 months, maybe every month. I think probably close to every 2 months. It was still good events, but there were some events that could pretty easily and quickly be set up that just never happened that could have. So that's kind of the thing that I wish that I had done a bit differently. And then what to pass on to the current club. You're doing really good and still growing, so just keep it up. Don't let the corona stuff and all this weird shutdown get you down. Apparently the club has been on a continual path upward, just about, is what I'm hearing now. I mean, a little bit of stutters, but I thought that we were doing nowhere near as well as Matt had done in the past, but now I know we're doing better than him. Because I came back to some of the new meetings now to talk a little bit, because I'm occasionally bored. And regular meetings are 10 to 20 members. That's the normal meeting size now.
Dang, that's way bigger than when we started.
No, it's crazy. So I'm going to pass it on to Garrett and see what he did right to make this happen. If you can hear me, Garrett.
Yeah, I'm here. So I'm Garretson Meyer, and I took over for Drake in the spring, I guess, of 2017, right, Drake?
Yep, pretty sure that's right.
Yeah, so I joined the group in the fall of 2017 when I came back to school to get my chemistry degree. And I remember finding the group by Googling libertarian on Campus Link, and the only thing that came up was Liberty. And so I was like, oh, okay, not sure. So I remember going to the room and leaning my head in the door, and first person I saw was Drake. And I figured a good baseline test in 2016 was asking taxation is theft, and definitely got a positive response that I knew I was in the right place. Got to meet everybody. Originally at the first meeting, I remember Drake and Katie, and then Jesse Spurlock, who would eventually be my treasurer for 1 year, or for a semester, and Bryson Min was there, and Maddie Greenwood. And then Tommy Zimmerman was there as well, who was, I think, Drake's treasurer at the time, and ended up doing the students for Gary Johnson.
Yeah, he was treasurer number 2 or 3 at that point, I think.
Sorry about that. So yeah, I took over the club, and we did a couple of debates. I had done the debate with Drake right before he had left in 2016, end of 2016. And I saw a lot of value in it. I was also going to the college Republican meetings at the time, and it sort of frustrated me, the size difference in the group, because that, end of 2016 and beginning of 2017 after with Trump, the college Republican group was easily 5 or 6 times the size of Yale. And they didn't really do any activism on campus or, discuss principles at all. All they did is listen to local, Republican people come in and give stump speeches for the most part. So I, wanted to find a way so that we could grow the group, because to me, tabling events were doing okay, but they weren't quite doing enough. And so I set out to try to find ways to grow the group, and one of the ways was the debate. And so I set up that in the future, with all the great debates, we were going to offer free pizza from Papa John's. I went to the local Papa John's and talked with the manager there and got us a permanent deal for all of our events that are through Young Americans for Liberty. And then set out finding other members that maybe didn't think politically would be their first avenue, but that they could help grow the group in other ways. So I was introduced to Justin Cott by one of our former members, Trent Carson, and he ended up finding another individual who worked on the video for the debates. And so we were able to grow that massively to the point where I think one debate we got over 250 students to show up, and over 60% of them weren't a member of the they weren't a member of any of the political student groups on campus. So that's you know, a really big achievement for us, and I think they now regularly still get between 100 and 150 every semester to show up to that. So that was a great thing, and that really gave us an avenue, because I had seen at that point in time the people that they were really paying attention to on the on YouTube and stuff was like Stefan Molyneux and Ben Shapiro, these guys who were able to give good answers to questions in debates, and that seemed to be attracting a lot of the college age student. And so that's what I wanted us to do, was make sure that we were known as the group to provide an equal platform for everyone by hosting the debate, but then get really, really good at being able to provide good explanations for liberty for most of the common topics that we're going to get discussed. And I think that we got really good at that, to the point where I think we pulled in 5 or 6 people to the club just from the first debate, where we, you know, gave free Papa John's and stuff. And after the debates, the big thing that I wanted to focus on was us being able to go to different events that were offered. Charlie made me aware of Mises, and so I have some photos that, not to be outdone by anyone. So this was when we worked on Rand's 2016 campaign. A whole bunch of the young.
You have to share your screen.
Oh, do I have to?
Yep, there should be a. It's possible to do on a phone still.
Hold on.
So I'll say that also the debates, the fun thing is that the Democrats and Republicans, and to a lesser degree the socialists, would all not really want people to go on stage. The Republicans could kind of get someone to go on stage. Democrats, no one in their club wanted to go on stage. Libertarians, like, I think the lowest turnout we've ever had was like 4 people trying out for the 2 debate slots. We do tag team debates just because we're college students, not like policy experts. It's easier to have 2 people to answer questions.
Are you able to see that now?
Not yet. But how are you sharing it?
I don't know why it's not working. Hold on.
Should be a share screen button.
Yeah, share screen, and then it says screen recording.
That should be it. Here, let me see if I'm missing something. No, I don't know why.
Okay, well, instead I'll try this.
Yeah, but we had lots of people trying out from the club, usually like 5 or 6. And I know recently they had too many people trying out for the debate, so they were not able to like even get through everyone or something. Justin Cott, you said there were 11 people trying out for the y'all side of the debate or something like that? Okay, Garrett,
The
it's
most
working.
recent one.
Can you see that now?
The most recent one.
That's Cliff, right?
Yeah, like second to most recent, I think.
Okay, so yeah, you can see this.
Okay,
So this
I'll
is
let Garrett.
this is when we the original members that I met along with Drake worked on Rand's 2016 re-election. That's Cliff Maloney back when he was big. So yeah, that's quite a ways that he's come. And then let me find the next one. So this was something that I was really proud of. This was the limited edition debate that we did. And this was Young Americans for Liberty against the college Republicans from UC. And this ended up lasting for only, I think, 2 or 3 iterations. Justin Cott can fact check me on that. But after that, most of the college Republicans essentially said we don't have anything to debate anymore, because we had essentially convinced most of them on the major policy differences that we seem to have, which were the drug war, the foreign policy intervention, and immigration. At least when we represented it, we were more about an open immigration for jobs, so for work visas, more so than open permanent immigration or open borders, since that's something that Yale really still doesn't touch.
And we did prostitution one time.
Yes, we did do prostitution as well, and that was another one that most of them caved on. So yes, thank you for reminding me, Drake.
Oh, really? I didn't actually know they caved afterwards, but it makes sense because they really didn't make strong arguments about it.
Well, actually, they ended up, the two of the three guys on stage that time ended up saying, yeah, I didn't want to debate this because I agree with you. So, all right, this was, I believe this was when we went to one of the Students for Liberty things.
Yeah, no, this was this was my last one. Actually, the same photo.
That was Cleveland.
Was that
Yale.
Zoe?
Yes, Zoe.
I
And
remember
then that's
Zoe.
Jimmy, who came to visit us.
Haha, I see him.
Yeah, this
And
was after I graduated already, so I just dropped back by to say hi.
Right, and then that's when we found Caleb, so enter Caleb Spicer, and Rex, Drake's brother, who was with us for a time before joining Praxis.
Yeah, he was much happier out of college. I think he was another person that was I grooming him to be president, or you might have been?
I was planning on it after I beat him in the one election, but then he ended up leaving, so yeah. I don't know. All right, this was when we went to Kentucky for the Leaders of Liberty rally, and Young Americans for Liberty was there. So Charlie Heinzel, who'd eventually be one of our presidents, and Mike Langenbrenner was there, along with Brandon Bill, who served in our leadership at one point.
And you also did how many times did you go to the Leadership Institute?
To Mises?
No, the other one, the Leadership Institute that was held like close to Cincinnati. Was that the one?
No, Leadership Institute was all over the place. That was like
There was one.
a bunch of cities.
I didn't realize I was unmuted. When my freshman, the fall of my freshman year. So when
Here's
president,
when we went to Mises.
Also, you guys in the chat, you can unmute yourself and just talk a bit as well. They're sharing other leadership institutes that happened.
Gotcha. So yeah, that's a photo from one of the debates that we did that was super well produced, and that produced, I think, our largest turnout ever. Yeah, that was a really well done production, and Justin Cott.
Dang, look how sharp you guys look. I was wearing T-shirts when I was running the show.
Oh yeah, we were.
Love it. Love it.
I think we always did pretty dressed up for the debates, although I think it was always the socialists that just showed up in like T-shirts and shorts, and it was not a good look for them when like most of the people on stage are in suits.
Well, and let me just interject and say during that debate specifically, they did wear suits. I do remember that. Yeah. But no, there was one time that I think the first one I came to physically, and someone described what one of them was wearing as a drug rug. So they have not always been clothed.
Was that the one where they started with their pronouns?
I know the drug rug was GD4.
That was the one where they started off with Cuba has a better healthcare system than the U.S.
Yeah, the first one we had
and cited infant mortality or something like that. It was bad. So this was when we went to Washington, D.C. and stopped by the White House for some sightseeing.
When did that happen?
I think that was at this last Students for Liberty.
Oh, man.
2019 LibertyCon, January.
This was the last LibertyCon that we went to, right here. Or at least that I went to. They've obviously been to one since. And then
put on
this
my
was our
picture.
last meeting this was the last meeting that I was at as a member of Yale at Cincinnati. I was really proud that during my presidency and then time as during the time of my presidency, the people that I had added to the club and brought into the club, with an eye to the future, had ended up stepping into leadership roles and had really focused on, what my core mission had been, is trying to grow the size of the club and our influence on campus. And they took that baton and absolutely ran with it to the point where I believe our club, correct me if I'm wrong, Charlie, but the one opening weekend that you were president, didn't we have over 50 or 60 people at the one meeting?
I forget the number, but yeah, it was at least near 50.
Yeah, we had completely filled the room, and it was impressive, and we became known as one of the groups that the student newspaper needed to contact on campus when they were doing a story. And they always now contact us about when the debates are going to be, and send a reporter to that.
Did you ever submit the op-eds to the student newspaper?
I believe that what we did is just the one member of the college Republicans had started the Cincinnati Republic, and
I forgot about that. Yeah, so you
Oh.
guys didn't really need to submit them to the main newspaper anymore.
Right.
Nobody reads that anyway. The news.
So, yeah. What are the 4 questions again, Drake?
Okay, so
we can go through?
what were you proudest of?
So I'd say there's 2 moments that I was really proud. One from a personal standpoint was when we finally managed to get the free markets versus socialism debate that we had wanted for forever. And I really focused on making it a free markets instead of capitalism debate, because I think that capitalism is a tainted word and in essence isn't fully what we want, because we want more than just the private ownership of the means of production. We want a free market. So yeah, that was terrific to actually finally get done. I put in a lot of time.
On that one?
Say what?
Was there voting on that debate?
I believe there was. Justin would know better than me.
When you mean voting, do you mean did we do surveys?
Yeah, did you do like the survey of how'd you walk in, how'd you leave that we did on most of the great debates?
Well, we don't do pre-debate surveying, but there is data surrounding. He and Garrett did well in it. Although I think he's had greater or better performances in some of the great debates, but he at least I think came out on top in that one in terms of being persuasive.
Okay, I wasn't sure if it was like a crazy runaway, like 80% or something, but
I think the debate was poorly managed, and I think the moderators we selected were woefully underprepared. I was actually really disappointed. I had worked my ass off for a variety of questions that didn't actually get to it, and at times it dragged. I don't want to be a wet blanket on all of it, but Garretson did get some good moments. In fact, he got a great moment. Do you remember? I'll let you tell it, Garretson.
Oh no, yeah, it was fun, but I would agree that it was run poorly. We were more excited at the fact that we even got the debate, and sort of bit off more than we could chew in terms of the format, and I think expected too much of the moderators.
Did you want to share the moment with Vinay and the whole?
Yeah, I got a Democratic Socialist after advocating for rent control to admit on stage that it didn't work. So that was pretty effective and a good win there. And then the moment that I was most proud of the group as a whole was when we heard that a group from off campus was going to be doing an open carry. And so one of our members who would go on to found the UC Gun Club, oh, come on, his name is escaping me. Somebody help me. Troy. Yes, Troy Riley. Sorry. Yes, Troy Riley was the one who would suggested that we collect signatures for campus carry. And so we went out to do that, and a whole bunch of professors came out and tried to intimidate them. We're asking for their names and majors. One lady went into her office and got a cardboard sign, made a cardboard sign, and came out calling them cowards. And I was really proud of them that they showed, such calmness in the face of, people with authority over them, threatening and intimidating them, that they didn't back down, but they weren't, unprofessional or discourteous. They conducted themselves, the way, it's a loose title being the president, but it still makes you really proud to represent a group of students that can conduct themselves so well, considering how we see a lot of adults conducting themselves under stressful political circumstances. So that was definitely from a presidential standpoint of the group, my proudest moment.
Okay, biggest regret, and what would you have done differently?
I would say my biggest regret was probably getting a bit too wrapped up in getting the debates done well to the level that they were, and neglecting other events like tabling, because I recognize that the debates could probably do more for us in terms of growing the groups, not only size, but presence and knowledge about it on campus. But I really neglected, the value that some of the tabling events had, and I really wish we would have done more of them. I think that other than a free speech ball, we did not focus a lot on events, and I would have rather that we did do that. So that would be my my one regret.
And what would you like to pass on to the current club?
Oh, I think I'd like to pass on that, the most important thing is there's so many important things. But I think the overwhelmingly most important thing is always standing by your principles, but doing it in a calm, collected, and professional way, with a smile on your face, will always take you farther than you think it can go. It is very, very hard for someone to hate you, even if they despise principles that you stand for, if you are always friendly and courteous to them, and not what they would like to stereotype you as. And that will open so many doors for people to be willing to have conversations that they normally wouldn't have. And that is the biggest icebreaker that you can have, because the message of liberty will always win, because it is correct. Human freedom is always the preferred mode of humanity. And so as long as we can get that foot in the door to have the conversation, that is the biggest step that we need to take in order for liberty to win. And the best way to do that is to always conduct yourself in a way that you would want to be received.
Okay, Charlie, you're up.
All right. Wait. Okay, so I'm going to be using the PowerPoint that we used the last meeting when I was president as like a recap of the whole year. So let me share that. Some of you guys have seen this before. It's got pictures on it too.
Wait, Charlie, you have to tell them when you started.
Okay.
I was a year and a half, so you would have been fall of...
I started fall of 2018. So I was 2018, 2019 school year, right after Garrett. But Garrett was still around, which was super helpful. Okay, share my screen.
Hi, Charlie. I'm Matt. I've not met you yet.
Hi, Matt. It's nice to meet you. I appreciated what you had to say. Okay. You guys see that? Can you see the PowerPoint?
Yep.
Dude, I love it. This is awesome.
Hopefully the pictures will be big enough. Because you do stuff all year and you sometimes don't realize how much you've done. Okay, so this was our first meeting that Garrett mentioned. We had a full room, and that was really awesome. I mean, not everybody came back, but we had that full room there.
Dang.
That was really fun. Then for the second semester, somehow we had neglected to reserve the room for the second semester. So we had to go into Braunstein, and I do not like Braunstein. It's ugly. That's why I said beautiful Braunstein. That was very sarcastic. It was out of the way, but it was fine. And so these are just pictures of some of the meetings we had. But then this year they moved into another room that I had recommended from one of my other groups that is like a square format. So everybody can sit in a big square and look at each other, and it's a lot better for conversations. Because while I liked the room with the long table, it was kind of hard to.
Well, that room
Have a
in TUC was
conversation.
just too small at that point, and the other bigger square room in TUC could fit more people.
Yeah, I mean, the one that we used to use, like the big long table one, I think that was still big enough, but, well, yeah, actually, that's a good point, because sometimes we did have too many people, and people would have to sit, like, outside the table, and then they felt like they were kind of excluded, and then you'd have a conversation on the one end of the table, and then another one on the other end of the table. But anyway, Justin Cott started doing some, after our meetings and during some of our meetings, did the Art of Debate, where he did debate training. That was really nice. Some of his classifications there. We had a couple guest speakers. We had Luis Barreto, who is from Venezuela, so that's what he talked about, and he was Garrett's neighbor. We did that at the beginning of the year. We had Drake, the man, the myth, the legend, talking about why we shouldn't have public education, which was really good talk. I think that's actually my back of my head right there.
Dang, look how legit you look, Drake. I remember playing Cards Against Humanity with you.
Oh no, that photo on the left is terrible. Like I don't know why you used that photo of me.
No,
But
that's
it's terrific for
it looks.
posterity.
Oh, I hate
And
it
yeah,
so much.
so small note on the last speaker before that, Luis Barreto. Yeah, he was my neighbor in the apartments that I was living in, and just ended up striking up a conversation with him. And he was a immigrant from Venezuela who was studying his master's here at UC, and I just had a bunch of different conversations with him because I was fascinated about somebody who had gotten away from Venezuela, and asked him a lot about it, and asked if he would be willing to come talk to the group. And I think that was Charlie can speak to it more, but that was one of the more fantastic presentations I think we had in terms of guest speakers. He would be valuable, talking on the tour. Like, he's really valuable content.
He was really good, and he wasn't like, we didn't pull somebody off the street who was like really super ideologically driven. He was just a regular guy who knew loving there. We had Drake, and then we had Greg Fisher, from Fisher Homes. They're big home builders in Northern Kentucky, and they're actually, I think, either the biggest or the second biggest donors to Thomas Massey. So I actually met him at the UC job fair for Fisher Homes, and I had YAL on my resume, and he was like, "Oh yeah, I love YAL." So so we had him come speak. And he was really good, and they actually had some run-ins with the government and wrote a little book about it. So he shared us about how government regulations impact the home building industry, which is really interesting. There's some movies we showed: V for Vendetta, The Bleeding Edge, which is honestly a heartbreaking film about basically how the FDA is useless, especially for medical technology, and shared some stories about people who used FDA-approved medical devices, and it wreaked havoc on their lives. And then we watched Sweden Lessons for America, about how Sweden actually isn't a socialist paradise. Activism, we did a free speech ball. We did Restore the Fourth, which I think is where we
Did that go well for you guys? Because I know back when we tried it like once or twice with people wearing suits and like pretending to be NSA agents, and I don't remember it being that effective for us. But I
thought it was fun. This time, I was the only person willing to dress up and pretend to be an NSA agent. But we had done it the year before. I think Garrett and I, and probably you, dressed up, and I remember it being fun. That's why we did it again.
Okay.
But we didn't have anybody else who wanted to pretend to be an NSA agent at this point.
Charlie likes any excuse to get in the suit.
And here's some tabling pictures. Skinner, Cisco. Garrett already showed this picture. This was like maybe the first week of school. So that they had a bunch of speakers. This was just a little thing in Northern Kentucky, but they had Ron Paul, Thomas Massey, Bevan, Jim Jordan. Here's us. I think somebody already showed this picture. The Mises Supporter Summit. This was the second year we went to LibertyCon. The prior year, me, Garrett, Skinner, and Cameron Steiner went. But this time we had a lot more people come, which was great. This year was going to be our third year, but it got canceled due to the coronavirus. So that was really fun. The top left is us at the club. But that Mike Ogunji caught the clubbing bug. That one. That's a story for another time, though. Here's group pictures of us. I would say maybe these are two of my favorite pictures. And then
it is really impressive, like, that you guys didn't just have that many members coming to meetings, but you had that many members willing to go on 8-hour road trips.
Yeah, we actually flew that year because SFL is really generous with flights. That was really nice that they were able to help us make that happen. Yeah, that was a great time. And here's three of us at CPAC: Ogunji, Garrett, and I, and Cliff Maloney. So here's the debates we did. I have pictures in a sec. So we had like 60 people for the limited edition. I think that maybe was the last time we did the limited edition. And then you see like great debate. We had 160 people at that one, which is pretty awesome. And then free markets versus socialism, we had 100 people, which is pretty good because that was the first time we had done that one. And that was also a pretty proud moment having Garrett up there to do that. And we also, at some point, maybe it was that year, moved into the Lindner Center Auditorium, which was a really nice venue. And now actually we're probably going to move into the Lindner Hall Auditorium, the new Lindner Hall Auditorium, which is beautiful. Here's the limited edition that we did. So you can see a full room there. And we did it in the College Republicans room during like the normal meeting time to make sure like they would all show up and see their debaters get destroyed.
This is legit. Nice work, guys.
Here's the first great debate. Here's that sick picture. Here's the free markets versus democratic socialism one. So you can see another completely full room.
Look at this.
And then here's our last great debate. All the debaters up front on the right. Look at Justin Cott, all ready to go with his laptop. Okay, that's all I got.
Chris, are you still on here?
Go back to the last photo. Guess which party doesn't have the suits on?
Did you have any idea this was happening?
No,
I didn't either. Isn't this awesome?
Oh,
That's
guys,
pretty crazy.
I told you, like, I figured out really quick that debates were the way to, like, actually get our ideas out in front of the most people possible. So I focused hardcore on finding people who made high quality debates.
But if you go back to like that chart Charlie showed, those aren't like one debate per year. Those all 4 events are within the same year.
Oh, I believe it.
That's like probably maybe 200 or 300 unique attendees.
Can you go
events.
Can you go to that big kickoff meeting picture? I must have a picture of that. I'm about to brag on you guys.
And then Charlie, did we show Do Not Resist when I was still president or when you were?
Go full screen on that one.
Okay.
That was when you were president, Garretson.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Okay. Well, more timely than ever now with what's going on.
And actually,
absolutely,
we have more pictures. If you guys follow the Instagram, that was another thing I did.
Instagram now.
Well, we had an Instagram, and it didn't get
Ashley started it
a year. It didn't get used for like, over a year, maybe like 2 years. And then but Instagram, like kids these days use Instagram. They don't really use Facebook. So we actually have a lot of pictures we have a number of pictures on the Instagram.
I was
like the most recent stuff, including I think these pictures.
I was trying to push the Facebook to be really active for a while, and then it kind of didn't really do much except occasionally post in the group. I moved everything over to GroupMe because GroupMe I felt worked a lot better because you were constantly kind of like having a conversation, so it made people stick around more and feel like more part of the club, even if they couldn't attend meetings.
Yeah, GroupMe is great, and yeah, Instagram is like the big thing now. We have pictures on our Instagram too if you want to see some of the most recent stuff from this year.
Is it y'all Cincinnati?
Let me look here. Actually,
Should be. It should
Yeah,
be.
I remember I rebranded it to Yao Cincinnati because it was UC Yao when I was there, and Yao Cincinnati was like way more legit.
Okay.
How do I?
You can change what you're sharing to be.
Yeah.
You don't want to share your whole desktop so we can see every tab you have open?
I don't have anything bad on my desktop open, so.
I know. It's funny that there are a couple teachers that got fired for that.
Charlie's got the Dank Catholic Memes tab open.
I probably do, honestly.
What's the first picture on there?
Oh yeah, we've been having our meetings
You guys
now
can see this, right?
online on Zoom.
Nice.
You guys can see this?
Yep. Oh,
Yeah, so, I mean, here's just some, I shared with these. Yeah, so there was like a big gap between Bryson here, like a long time ago, and then this was the first meeting, so. But yeah, like all of our stuff, whatever.
That's awesome. That looks great.
Yeah. That's
Yeah,
great.
this-
I mean,
Look how
literally,
neat these
nice.
graphics look and everything.
you can blame Justin Kopp for that. He was doing a lot of graphics. And Ashley, too, she taught me how to make that, Canva.
Canva, yeah, that's still one of her favorites.
Yeah,
Ashley,
so
by the way, is my sister. She ended up joining. She was
Yeah,
VP
I know.
with you.
She created a Tumblr for us too, but we decided to let that die.
She's a marketing professional now, so
Oh,
she
wow.
definitely got her roots from.
Yeah, she was doing all our graphics for a while. Kind of as I was one of the last people left, she was not able to make as many meetings with like her class load, but she was able to do all of the graphics stuff, and then I would pass them out.
And by the way, I mean, these like graphics like this, I did not make these. I just stole these.
Yeah, but the fact that you used good-looking graphics and not something that was terrible-looking makes it all the more better.
And I don't know, maybe Drake or Ashley who made these. These always looked good. We still use these.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah,
I think Ashley made them, and then I continued them with like slight edits.
Yes, and then Justin Cott was a terrific find for our group in terms of just being somebody who would be able to produce the stuff that engineers aren't known to be, big on the aesthetics stuff. So
Yeah. Yeah, I guess the last thing I'll say before I answer those questions quickly is, so my vice president was Cisco, Justin, sorry, not just Mike Cisco. My treasurer was Mike Langenbrunner, who was president this year. And then my secretary was Justin Cott, who, yeah, like they said, was the big debate guy. And then
And we had media chair by the time you started that, right?
Yeah.
So we added a position.
Skinner was our media chair, and then Ryan was our student at large, but that didn't go so well. I mean, not his fault. That was my fault. That's maybe my regret. I didn't give him anything to do because I didn't know what to have him do. Wait, so what were these questions? What are the questions?
So what are you proudest of, then biggest regret, then pass on to current club?
Okay, proudest of probably the debates, probably getting the democratic socialism debate to happen, and also bring so many people to LibertyCon. And then this fall, we were able to bring a ton of people to the Y'all Summit. We had the biggest chapter there by far. That's this picture. And that's why Mike won. I don't have it on here. He won an award for for bringing so many people there as president.
So wait, you had 16 members at the convention.
Yeah, that was in Detroit. Yeah, we were the biggest group by far there, and we had a lot of new members there, and a lot of people who stepped into leadership this coming year. My biggest regret, probably tabling, like other people said. I don't know. I always wanted to table more. It didn't really happen.
Well, what I always wanted to do was set it up so that some of the new people would set up their own tabling events, give them power and they can do it, and just never worked.
It can be hard to think of new ideas, I guess, for events.
Yeah.
Well,
But most people haven't actually seen it before, so you can reuse things every 2
Yeah.
years or so.
And if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So
Okay.
what
What
I
would,
put on,
yeah.
I don't know. They're doing a great job. I'm really excited for the new leadership. I don't really have any specific advice. Probably my advice would be plan early as possible. We did do a lot of planning both the summer before I was president and the summer after I was president over the summer.
Oh, really?
That's the most valuable time because you think that you'll just figure stuff out when school happens, but then you're busy and you have homework and tests
We tried to do a bit of planning.
I wish we had planned more of the summer still.
But when we did a bit of planning, we only planned like one big event, and then it also failed. So like one year we were planning to bring in Milo before he became uber controversial, or a couple other things.
So I think that's all that I have.
Okay, Justin and Justin, which one of you guys can both talk back and forth, but you guys are kind of the ones that know what's happening currently. So if you guys want to talk through a bit of what's going on now, you don't need to go all the way up to the present, but they can always make another one of these videos and keep it alive.
Tell us all the great things that Mike did.
I say it again?
I said, tell us all the great things that Mike did this year.
Yeah.
Yeah. Skinner, interrupt me if you ever want to. So Longenbrunner, unfortunately, didn't get to finish out the spring semester. That largely was taken away from us due to the pandemic. We did transition to online meetings and everything like that, but we couldn't have the Great Debate 10, and we couldn't really get the next generation ready doing some events that we had planned for that semester. It was very unfortunate, but we did at least have the autumn semester together, and I think that one photo Charles showed us on the Instagram that from Detroit, we did that in 2019 in the autumn, right at the beginning of October, and that was a fun trip. And like you said, we had the biggest chapter at that convention by far, and we were excited about that. They were excited to have us, and excuse me, I think we also did the Great Debate 9, and that was successful. I don't think there was anything too remarkably different vis-a-vis how the other ones went, although we did have two different members who hadn't really debated before. They got a chance to do it. And there were some things that could have gone better, but they were able to speak to the issues in a way that we hadn't spoke to before as well. And so it was great to have Julius Freeman, who you've seen pictures of before, do it, as well as Zoe Lee go up there. She did a great job too. And so that was fantastic. Outside of that though, I do believe we did a free speech ball and in the autumn, and I think there was a movie shown at some point in the semester, but I think I was sick for that week. But it was just really, it was nice because we started the 2019 academic year with a lot of new faces. And I was really happy. Some of the meetings that I was involved in, so the discussions that we were able to have, it was a big tent, and people from all sorts of different walks of life felt comfortable coming and discussing the ideas, and a multitude of perspectives were fostered, and it was a really great place. So it was a shame that we were ripped from having the spring semester, but we still did meet. And we did decide on who is going to be the next round of leaders, and that the next president will be Grace Abdelnour, and she is our first female president, and we are very excited about that. I've been in contact with her since she first joined, And I knew from the get-go we had a future leader in our midst, and I'm very excited to see what she and the rest of her leadership team will be able to achieve as a club, both with the Great Debate 10 in her hands now, and the future of activism. I know she wants to make tabling a priority, and we've been in talks about dates in the summer to plan some of this stuff out. I can speak to one thing that was going on during Mike's tenure also. I was trying to push, and he agreed in that this was the right spirit, to further democratize the activism experience, because for so long, you go back to Drake, at certain times it was a one-man show trying to keep the club alive, and then Garretson really put together this great group of leaders, but we wanted everyone in the club to feel like they had an important role, and some part, and that's still an ongoing transformation, but I have confidence that when we come back at the end of 2020 in the autumn, that we could really further get into that, the buck still stops with leadership, but like I think that we tell people up front that they can really get involved, and this isn't just some sort of liberty hangout, but like that we're actually there to do things. I think that people will really latch on to that, and so I have really high hopes. Personally, I have announced since the end of 2019 that I was going to step away from doing anything in terms of production or whatnot. I mean, I'll still be there and listen and guide, but because it was time to pass the torch, and I had done a lot for the club. I've been producing the debates from the Great Debate 5 through the 9th, including all of the special debates that we did, and it was a lot, and I'm ready to see a new team rise up and do it, and they can do it differently, hopefully better. I'm not perfect, so it'll be nice to see them. I wanted to see it through in the spring, but they'll have their chance in the autumn, hopefully. Hopefully social gathering limits will be permitting of that. And we don't see a spike in cases, but yeah, so that's kind of how Mike's year went and what we could expect from Grace and into the future. So,
and we also have a Ohio State representative who, when he heard about our Great Debate at Cincinnati, specifically requested an invitation. So the Great Debate 10 might have a Ohio State rep attending.
I saw that. That could be very exciting.
Okay, then I think that we went through just about everything. If you guys have anything more, any last stuff you want to chime in?
I think it's pretty cool because like when I was doing stuff, my initiatives were like they just seemed so mild compared to what was going on much later, because it was just about getting people in seats to come back out, and by the time we got these guys down here doing it, I mean, there's like advanced debates going on. Like the tasks were so much more mature. I love it.
No, but you got to see is I literally wasn't really a libertarian when I walked into the club, and you and Michael made me one, and then like you guys speaking after me can say, but a good portion of our meetings was just educating the people.
That's what. Yeah, that was the big thing. Was
this stuff coming down the road?
That was one of the things. And if I can go back on my thing, if I could pass along to the group, even when we were doing all those events, we weren't growing. Sometimes we still were engaging dozens of people and having good conversations. And I think those things really helped. We really strived for education more than anything, because people just didn't know about the issues the way that the Liberty folks could talk about them. There was always the two sides to that argument, but it's like, no, there's another side here, and we think it offers real solutions. So the education was huge early on, but yeah, it's awesome to see all this.
Yeah,
I'd be interested to hear from Chris, just as looking back now, but like now that he's gotten to see the anthology.
That's so cool that like you have debates and there are people, and it's like, yeah, like Matt's saying, it's crazy to see it turn into like a legit organization. So it's awesome, and yeah, man, I'm excited for you guys. I'm proud of all the hard work you've done. We never
Well,
thought
I do
that big.
I do have to say we got very lucky. Charles walked in a straight libertarian, more so than I think anybody else I've ever seen. Like just
He
since
walked into
walking the club.
after doing Mises University.
Yeah. So yeah, he was about as libertarian as it gets. So there was no educating needed from him, and
Well, it was the same thing
he
with
was
you,
very
Garrett.
helpful.
I mean, Garrett, you walked in saying taxation is theft. When I had already finished, my third treasurer had just left the club.
Right. Well, yeah, we got really lucky in terms of when I was able to take the baton from Drake to keep the club alive, and then I got really lucky with behind me, and I was friends with Mike and was able to get him going a little bit, and found Justin, and I really focused on networking to try to find people who could help me do the work, because that was the big thing, and I absolutely am thrilled with the work that they ended up doing because it was all them. I just did the work of finding them.
Well, hey, that seemed to work well, so awesome. I mean, that's networking and all that stuff, just growing the organization is fantastic.
Okay, then I think we're about good, and we'll sign off and send the video over to whoever. Who runs the YouTube and everything now. I don't even know at this point.
It's Morgan. He's new.
This will be
know
important. This will be important though, because like if I would have been able to hear Matt's, pass on to the club before I had taken over the presidency, I would have been less likely to neglect the tabling events, because I do think he's right that debates are one thing. They definitely get our message out for a lot longer to, the people who are emotionally invested in politics and will actually, be involved big time. But there's a lot of people that vote that don't really care all like that. And the tabling events are really important to shape their mindset going forward. And so, yeah, this is
honestly, it seems like
really
a good mixture of both seems to have been. It seems like I mean, I didn't do anything legit on that scale, right? It was just one-on-one conversations with people, and that helped. But like, I mean, these debates are stinking awesome. Seeing these videos, so.
We tried to do a bunch of different things. Like all the movie events we hosted, I think the biggest turnout we got was 2 people who weren't members of the club. Like when I tabled about the movie for like 3 days straight and we got no one showing up. So I don't know why, but just debates work even though nothing else brings people out.
Yeah. The other thing that I thought, the other initiative that I was really big on was trying to create like a community. So not just, we all like liberty, but like, let's actually be friends so we can all work together. So that's why we did the Cards Against Humanity there. We all got to just hang out, chill, eat pizza, and play games, and we got to know each other a lot more that way. And it built a community, I think, there. So
yeah,
and I've been impressed here.
Oh, there's definitely a community now. We have semesterly YAL house parties.
Well, not
love it
much anymore, but yeah, those were actually fun. But Matt, I'm really impressed to hear what you did. I mean, if I had to go out with like one friend and chalk all over campus and build an entire, I mean, we never wanted to build a free speech wall with like a whole team of people because we thought it would be too much work in a dunk tank. Like, that's really impressive stuff. I wouldn't sell yourself short.
Well, I appreciate it. I had a lot of help. Once I got Mike on board and you saw the pictures, I was taking them. You saw the people we had there. I had people out there with clipboards collecting emails. It really was a team group effort. When we were out there actually doing the tabling events, people felt like they were doing stuff. So I think they were motivated to help.
Yeah, no, that was big for me because at first I couldn't get people to actually do a lot for the club. But if I already had the table and everything set up, I could get people to just show up and stand there. And it was like, that was kind of and then that taught me who would be good going forwards. Like Mike, if you're still on the call, he would actually go up and talk to people and do more than just stand there. And that's why I'm like, oh, I want Mike to be moving up to other positions or some things like that. It's kind of a really good way to see who has the drive and who isn't just like kind of showing up to hang out. Because hanging out's important, but they're not the people that you want to have in charge.
And I have to say, Drake taught me so much about tabling. I learned a lot from the LI thing my freshman year in the fall, and then tabling and passing stuff over to Drake, where he's like, "Okay, here's a packet of flyers, just hand them out," and that was something like I kept pushing people like throughout my years, like, "Okay, hand them out."
I got a bit less crazy towards the end because we built up a really big email list, so we didn't need to do it as much. But in the beginning, we didn't. So for the first debate, like literally 4,000 or 5,000 flyers.
Yeah, for the one debate, didn't we do like 7,000?
I don't think we ever hit that high, but I was out there for like 6 or 7 hours a day for 4 days straight.
I think the most I ever printed was around over 3,000, maybe more.
3,000 one year, I think, or if that was the number, and we thought we had broken a world record, but apparently not.
So with the
and we ran out. We ran out with the 3,000.
Yeah, no, like we
did.
The first minute we did like 3,000 or 4,000, then we had to go and print like another 1,000, then another 1,000. We had to go through like not just the club printing budget, but then we went to people's like engineering prints and just did black and white ones.
Yeah.
So with the dunk tank, you got to throw for free if you gave us your school email. We collected like 1,000 emails.
That's brilliant. That's brilliant.
That was how we started. Like we had a massive email list from the get-go because
How did you get the dunk tank?
It was like $400. I called a company locally and was like, "Hey, can you guys set up a dunk tank at UC?" And they were like, "Oh yeah, we've done that before. We can do it. We know exactly where to put one too."
You know, I would donate some money if you guys brought back the dunk tank.
I will go in the dunk tank. That sounds so fun.
Oh,
right,
this is what I was gonna say.
I'll go in the dunk tank.
I'll pay for the dunk tank if Drake is being dunked.
I will contribute.
I have
And
more.
Matt,
We got so many emails that day. I had 3 or 4 people with clipboards collecting emails that day. That was a really good one.
Well, Justin Cott donated. We now have there's a set of iPads to type your emails in for signing into events.
Yeah,
we have
iPads
these little
just
tablets.
came out when I was doing this stuff. Good Lord.
No,
yeah, we have free tablets now to do that and all that stuff to streamline. But
it's
Matt,
so
I have to
much
echo
easier.
Charlie's
I
thing, man.
remember.
I don't know how dedicated I would have been to keep going out and doing stuff after 3 weeks in a row of nobody showing up to meetings, man. That perseverance is impressive.
Well, I'm telling you, it was like 6:05, and me and Mike were like, "All right, we're done." And then 6:06, 8 people walked in, and then the rest is history. I love it.
Yeah, look at it. Rest is history. Up to what's our group tally up now to, Justin? Well over 25.
In terms of recurring attendance.
Yeah.
I would say, it depending on when you demarcate it, yeah, you could say that, yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, I think everyone here has contributed a significant amount. Yeah. I mean, going back to Chris, you guys even getting stuff set up. Yeah. I mean, I didn't know about the group for you until you guys had set it up.
No, so like literally, if you had not, everything that we did is resting on there being no free speech zone. 100% of everything we did.
Look at what Cincinnati created.
That's true, because I'm looking at all this, like all the setups you guys are doing. It's like, man, like we weren't able to do that, but we wouldn't have been able to just.
You know what? You would have had a 50-member club if you were allowed to actually table. Let's blame the university.
There you go.
Real.
Exactly.
Well, even some of the other political groups were a lot smaller then, so I don't know if it's campus culture. And
during most of my term were around 30 to 50 members.
Yeah, actually, big thing, because I'm friends with all this old CRs, and they messaged me and told me, beginning of next semester, will officially be larger than CRs.
Yeah, they've had.
Wow.
I never thought that would happen.
We have pulled so many of their members and stuff that it's just ridiculous.
Well,
I would walk in CRs and they had 50 members and we had like 8.
They've gotten complacent. They've really gotten complacent.
Well, they would like not meet the first week of a semester, so I would send people to their meeting that was an hour before ours and say, tell them to come to this room and stick around for 45 minutes. There's free pizza. They would. And so the freshmen that showed up,
libertarians are entrepreneurs. Look at this.
Members.
Yeah, Brad was the only one that was really driving the club forward. So I guess once he left, it kind of.
So we this year, looking at the attendance, we had 32 people who attended 5 or more meetings.
Jesus.
And
The fact that you guys have stats just blows my mind.
Right?
people who attended 10 or more meetings.
We have statistics on the vote spread of every single debate that we've done. We keep
Justin,
attendance by
Yeah,
person.
Justin Cott did all that.
Justin goes like crazy with the data, like visual.
Oh yeah, no, the amount of breakdowns, Matt, like Justin could take you through. He used to do hour-long presentations the week after our debates, like showing us how well we did with particular political
Oh my gosh!
ideologies.
Because the thing is,
man, this is exactly the this is just everything.
That's all the stuff we wanted to
Libertarians
be
got
and
it together. I'm telling you, we
we're
just
trying
had
to
to
imagine
let
it.
people see it.
Well, and Matt, I'll tell you what, it's so interesting, the number of our people who wanted to debate. Like, it's just so interesting how liberty oriented that is. Like, we got the debate set up, and I know I participated in quite a few, but I know the one semester I yielded to Drake to get him on the stage during his last semester. And then, Drake and I would regularly come back to help out, like Julius and Zoe on the last go around, and Justin
Zoe
Cott
was
up there
debating?
for the one.
yeah,
Yep.
Zoe was debating.
I remember the first time Zoe showed up. She was like the most shy person ever, and she was on the debate stage.
Yes.
She was on the debate stage, and she killed it.
Yeah,
They
no,
did well.
What we figured out is that you'll never win like an outright majority, but you will kind of people vote for the party that they walked in believing. So you just got to beat the spread and have more
Yeah.
people voting.
That's not true.
Well,
We've won outright
yeah.
majorities.
Oh, we
in some of our
have,
great
but
Well,
we've always beaten the spread. We've always had more people vote for us than we've had y'all members show up to debates every time.
Well, and as the guy who did do the analysis, yeah. So one thing that I would look at is, okay, because I would ask people what was an ideology that they aligned themselves with, and then I would cross tabulate the data and see who was winning with people who were not predisposed to agree with them originally. And I was very happy in most of the debates when we looked at the numbers, we were pulling in a lot of the topics from people who were not supposed to agree with us necessarily. And we also even cross-tabulated to know if they were in the student group or not, to see if we were getting, people who just aren't politically affiliated, but maybe have a leaning, and see, is that where we're pulling from? And in a lot of cases, we did pull from them, and it was
And didn't we
wow,
have one
look at
debate
this.
where the Democrats didn't even get a single vote after we were done with them?
I know there were some topics where we pulled
No.
70% of the college Republican vote to us.
Yes,
I think that there was the one debate we did in the cinema that only had like 70 or 80 people, where the Democrats decided to be pro-war, and I think that we crushed them so badly we got like 60% of the overall vote, and Democrats got 0.
It might have been my
I
first.
think that was a GD3.
Yeah,
Matt, all the great debates are on our YouTube page if you want to sit through.
Are they? I'll
they
have to
are
check
all
them
I'll
out.
on there.
definitely
The
watch
first,
through some
like
of them.
2 or 3 are all awful, like quality.
Justin will tell you what the best ones were, and especially in terms of our performances, if you want.
Yeah,
And there's one that we lost because the news record said they'd show up to film it, and they showed up, took 3 photos, and left.
Yeah, it sounds like a
Well,
news record.
no. They had a camera. There was one person. She was doing a documentary, and she said she would
Yeah,
give us the.
Yeah, she was
Yeah,
the
the
only
film,
one who actually followed through. Corey followed through. There was somebody else who did not. follow
Yeah, so I
through.
started
We
like,
have all of them recorded because we would record too.
well, but for that one we didn't.
Which one was that?
Number 2,
I
I
think
think.
No, that might have
Oh.
been 6. No, we had the documentary lady. I think that might have been 6.
I think we
And I
have.
don't.
But she gave us the documentary girl.
We have
gave us
so many debates we can't keep track of them. We'll put it that
Oh,
way.
I know.
Yeah,
Well,
that's
oh,
With
awesome.
gosh.
most of them, 100 plus attendees.
I just know that the fall was 9. That's all I know.
Yeah. No, I think it was 6, but no, we have a lot. I'd say, I think the best debate, the greatest one, and Garretson just hit it out of the park in this, was the great debate 8. That was phenomenal.
6 is the one that showed up first when I Googled Yale Cincinnati, actually. When I searched it on YouTube.
I think the one that we lost, I think it was 2 or 3. And I'm pretty sure that's the one where we had like the audience booing and yelling from the crowd because we debated climate change badly because we still weren't that good at it at the time.
Okay, it might be 2.
Yeah, I
Because
don't think you guys were around back then. Were you guys around when the people from the crowd like stood up and started like reading articles from the audience?
I
No,
don't-
that was right before I got there, so that would have
Yeah.
been 2015.
Yeah, no, that's the one that we didn't keep footage of. Which I'm honestly not that upset we didn't keep footage of it. Well, I think I did
But
okay.
again, if I had to recommend one debate, it would be the GD8. That was hands down. I think Garretson remembers that one, and I think that was your last one. And he did really well. So, and the numbers were really good for that as well.
7 was the one that I gave to Drake, right?
Yeah, and
Wait,
don't forget Officer.
Wait,
it's also on the YouTube channel.
8 was
Wait, yes, I think.
8 was me. I'm looking at it now. 8 was me and Julius. That means 7.
Oh, I'm thinking of 7. Excuse me. Yeah. See, like Drake said, there's so many. It's hard to keep track.
Wait, no. Yeah, I literally cannot keep track. I have no idea.
So everyone here is a former president.
Not everyone. Some of us.
Okay.
Everybody who spoke, I think, and then.
So what's everyone doing now?
Chris was former treasurer.
Yes,
but
I was treasurer.
But
then
the other
possibly the
president was
longest
also
tenured
named
one.
Chris.
And
Yes.
Scott was VP for Mike, who we talked about.
And then Justin Cott was secretary for 3 different presidents.
Yeah, Justin Cott and Justin Skinner were both in position so long that they're essentially whatever.
Scott was VP and secretary, right?
Yeah. I was first media secretary for Garretson, then I became secretary, and I was your secretary,
I thought you had a
Charles.
position under me. Didn't you?
And then, no, but I didn't get to. Well, I
No,
got
I was
to UC in
secretary.
2016, but like
I
I didn't know about the club until 2017.
I was secretary. Greg, I was secretary for you the spring of my freshman year, and then right after Bryson, and then the next year I was treasurer, and then
At first it was myself, then Jimmy as secretary, sort of, but not for very long. Ashley was VP. Jesse became VP. Bryson, I think, replaced Jimmy as secretary. I strong-armed Katie into position because she was my girlfriend and couldn't say no.
Right, and then I took over and I had Jesse as my treasurer and Bryson as my VP for 1 semester. And then
a bunch of people. I can't remember all of them because there was Tommy. There was the other guy that had like blonde hair. I don't remember his name.
And then I had Charlie as my treasurer, and
who
was my VP?
Charlie as treasurer did a lot of like.
Yeah, he did.
We used the whole budget, like all $5,500.
Nice.
It was when you and I first started up our first year at UC, when Drake was still president. It was Bryson was secretary, but then that spring is when you became president, and that's when I became secretary, and then the full year that you served. That's when I was treasurer. And
right, and who was my VP?
Jesse.
Yeah, Jesse was VP. You're right. Yep.
Yeah, Jesse was.
Secretary.
We had woman VPs a lot of the time.
Yes.
It was Ashley for like a while for me. I think like two or semesters, and then Jesse was VP for a solid like 2 years.
Yep, and then Justin Skinner was our media guy, and he got us going on Facebook and Instagram, and we started getting a lot of likes and shares.
Mm-hmm.
No, but it's lots of good stuff.
So if I can ask one more question, I'm curious, what's everyone doing now? We're all done with UCL, right?
Are you saying in general or Liberty?
Yeah, what's life like?
You can do both.
Okay, so I just got elected the Franklin County vice chair of the Libertarian Party. Woo.
Look at
The
you.
executive committee.
No, it's not good. It means I have to do more work.
Correct. I'm excited to have him because I'm the chair. So I've been.
Oh wait, I forgot you're the chair. No.
Yeah. So I'm
no.
excited to have you and put you to work.
Darn it! I've revealed all my secrets.
Yeah.
Like pretend I don't know anything.
No, it's good to hear. So it's nice having another UCYL guy.
And then, so I guess we took over the Columbus area. Apparently, oops, wrong county. But then besides that, I'm the researcher for Freedom Tunes occasionally. Not all the time. Not all his videos need research. Some are just funny. But when he does something a bit more academic, I either proofread or will actually dig up the stats for him. So that's kind of nice, where I don't need to spend 8 hours tabling to reach like 20 people. I can spend like 2 hours researching a video that reaches like 200,000 people. So it's much more.
Who is this?
Freedom Tunes, the YouTube channel that does the animated cartoons about Liberty stuff. They're pretty funny. I'm not just saying that because I'm on them.
If you want an intro one that is just hilarious, look up Ben Shapiro Thanksgiving.
Oh man, I'm really Ben Shapiro, Rex Ocasio-Cortez. I'm really.
There's a lot of good ones.
Ben Shapiro Thanksgiving is a better one. Start
Okay.
on.
But if you ever see like a research by Drake, that's me at the end. And then I somehow, by knowing enough, like I just got into that because I had researched so much stuff that I just could just provide information. And I occasionally also do. I'm a policy expert for various YouTube channels, or podcasts occasionally. So I've done interviews on random subjects. And then in general, I'm working as an engineer, and I'm also doing a lot of stuff in my local Rotary Club. So lots of volunteer work also, and getting married soon. Somehow I found libertarian girlfriend. So
look at you. Nice.
Congrats.
Matt, you asked the question. I'll push it. Yeah, I guess I'll go. So. I'm an IT manager. Shortly after UC, I got a job working in IT. I'm not doing anything at all connected to Liberty whatsoever. But
where do you live? We could use you in the party.
I was just say if you.
I bought a house in Norwood less than a year ago, so I'm only 10 minutes from UC.
Well,
you can help them out easier.
If you want to come talk. If you want to come talk to the group about anything liberty related, like with IT or stuff that's Fourth Amendment related, they can actually, you know, you've been out of UC so long, they can actually give you some cash for doing that.
Okay, yeah, I'm open to whatever. I was just looking at one of the pictures, and it was like a 19-inch square monitor when I was there. So that's what IT looked like at UC when I was doing things.
It took so long to get HDMI cables into TUC. It took them so long to get HDMIs into TUC. So long.
Yeah, I mean that's nothing terribly exciting. Not as exciting as Drake. Dear Lord, doing all this research and stuff. That's pretty cool. But
it's called an obsession. Thank you.
Yeah.
I can't be wrong. I have to win.
What about you, Chris?
So for the politics stuff, I actually ended up joining the Libertarian Party in 2009. I don't know how involved you guys are with the party, but there's a gal who was also at Cincinnati during my tenure. She's started a few years before me, Jess Mears, who's big on the inside at the national level.
I was debating inviting her to this because I heard her interview on Tom Woods, and I wasn't sure if she actually did anything close to UC y'all or not.
Well, she's doing her podcast right now, so she's got bigger fish to fry than us. So she had a libertarian group there that we eventually kind of siphoned off. Just having two libertarian groups was redundant at that point, especially when we were both like 5 people. But somehow we ended up meeting, so she got me running for office back in 2009. So I think I did a state rep run, and then I've run for city council and stuff like that. So I've got lots of fun politics experience. If you guys are ever bored and want to do Libertarian Party stuff, give me a call. We'll put you to work somewhere. I've been with National. I was Ohio's delegation chair a few years back. I was excited. I think, Drake, you were at the convention this year and got to enjoy all of that.
I was remotely.
Yes.
Same
so
desk.
That's what that's like. So I was in actually South Carolina for a couple of years. I got back this past year. I was a high school science teacher. Prior to that, I was in biomedical research. I did some work at Ohio State, and I'm trying to get back into biomedical stuff.
So did being a high school science teacher make you more or less in favor of like ending public school?
It gave me a more nuanced opinion on it, and that's its own fun topic of conversation. Where it's one of those, it's weird when you're like just being in it. The public shows the schools are a mess. I mean, but you know, everybody kind of already knows that. It's what do you do about it, and what kind of to what extent can you really solve a problem, or do you just create new ones, and what's the cost benefit and all that, and the realism of implementing changes. So, for school board, it's like, well, run as a libertarian member of school board. It's like, there's no such thing. The actual school board has almost no power, and I'm not running for emperor of all of the school systems in a state, where you get to rearrange it to do whatever you want. It's basically, well, let's see, I make sure that we implement policy under these guidelines that we have our hands tied with funding.
Yeah, it's just rubber stamp stuff from the feds.
Yeah, well, it's a bunch of different things. So how does it work with the feds? How does it work with the state? What local control do you have? And then, in Ohio, it's like, well, here's how we get our money. Oh, but that's unconstitutional. Oh, but nobody cares. So school systems are immensely complicated, and nobody knows what they're talking about, was kind of my takeaway from being there for 2 years and doing the politics on that end. So I'm a masochist, so I joined a bunch of the committees. So I was on the faculty committee to the district and the board. So it's one of those, it's disabused me of the notion of some sort of panacea for, well, if we just, did charter schools, or if we just did vouchers, that would magically fix everything. Obviously I'm very, very libertarian, burn it down, give the taxpayers their money back kind of thing. But when the practical day to day, and most of it, when you're just doing your J job, it's the day-to-day bureaucracy that kills you, and just the, watching people throw money away and just doing stupid things, and bureaucrats who couldn't do your job for an hour telling you exactly what to do. So, and every industry has that. Education's its own world, and it's kind of weird that public school is the one kind of public institution in America. So, it's the proxy to solve all sorts of social welfare programs that people really haven't talked about. So it's one of the, even the things like school lunches and stuff like that turn into hot topics that it's one of those, it's like, look, man, I just want to teach the kids about science. All right. So, but yeah. So anyway, so I've hung around the libertarians, for better or for worse, for the last decade since getting out, and banged my head against the wall watching politics for the last decade or so. So I don't want to kill any of your guys' optimism, but anytime you want to reach out, feel free. I've done some of the rodeo, and like I said, I'm just super excited to see that you guys have taken this organization and grown it and turned it into something big. That's really awesome to see.
Garrett, do you want to go?
Yeah. I finished up at UC, and I'm looking. The main reason that I came back to UC is to pursue medical school. So I'm applying right now this fall, and hope to get in. Main reason why I came back for medical school is I want to be able to start my own direct primary care practice. So hopefully can get that up and going. I don't have as much faith as Chris and Drake do in the Libertarian Party. So I've been doing work in the Republican Party because I think that can be saved. Massey and Rand and the run that Ron had really give me a lot of hope there. So looking to do medical school and, staying active within local races and try to help out Yao whenever I can. Testified on a bill before the House legislature a couple weeks ago with Charlie. So hopefully that gets through. It's a free speech on college campus bill. And yeah, hoping at some point to make a run at a state House rep position once I finish up medical school, or if that doesn't happen for some reason, pick another career path.
I was gonna say, take the old Paul family route of medical school, then politics. There, love it.
Well, yeah, they're heroes in more ways than one. That would be a dream to be able to take that transition.
That's awesome. Nice.
Okay, I don't have too much to say. I just graduated from UC. I graduated with Garrett in 2019, and then I graduated from a grad program in finance this year. Last month, I guess. And I'm starting a job in a few months. It got pushed back a little bit because of coronavirus, but in Cleveland, where I live, at Ernst & Young, which is an accounting firm, and I'll be doing HR consulting. and also hoping to get involved with political stuff around here.
I'll go next. So I too just graduated, but it was my undergraduate degree, bachelor's in business administration with a major in marketing, minor in business analytics, and a business Spanish certificate. But I am going back to, like Charles did, for an MS. This one is in marketing. And that probably will last me a year. And so I will still be at campus. And as we were mentioning earlier, yeah, I had this path of media secretary and then vice president. But we did come up with this cool title called executive advisor for former presidents. So while they're lingering around, I don't get to get that title because I wasn't exactly president, even though obviously, as this conversation has laid bare to, I've done a lot. So I'm calling myself Pluto. Not a planet, but still in orbit. That is my title. I will still be, like, listening to what's going on, going to meetings and stuff like that in the leadership circle. But I'm trying to be as hands-off as I can, just a guiding force for the new team, because they'll certainly need it with a lot of our great talent leaving this semester. Charles graduated, Cisco graduated, and Langenbrenner is only going to have the current or the former president that just passed the baton to Grace. He is only going to have like 1 or 2 courses and won't be very much around. So I'll be trying to steward the next generation. And outside of that, I have during the Democratic primary, they had all these debates, and eventually we'll have the general election debates. But I have taken my debating acumen and putting it to work, typing out articles and analyzing the debates on the Cincinnati Republic. So if you ever go to their website, you can see some of my work analyzing the debates and what worked and what didn't work for the debaters. So hopefully you'll enjoy those pieces if you take the time to look at those. But that's what I've been up to.
And then I am I'm a transfer student from Fort Wayne, Indiana. Drake introduced me to the group after Dan Taylor told me, or after I left Fort Wayne, and I transferred to UC in 2017. So this will be my coming into my 4th year at UC, and I was the social media guy for the last 2 years or something like that, and now I am the current, effective last month, vice president for the chapter.
And don't forget, we put you in charge of social media because you're already a social media person on like a major libertarian Facebook page.
Right. I have been involved with helping out the Facebook page Think Liberty ever since they started around 2017 as well. They recently merged with Being Libertarian, or we merged, I should say, to Being Libertarian. And so we have gotten up to, I think I saw it's like over 80,000 likes now. And so I have a decent amount of media or social media experience to bring it up to where our social media is currently.
Yeah, it looked like you were doing a great job there, bud. Good job.
I appreciate it.
All right. Well, that was a successful anthology of Young Americans for Liberty.
We're so legit. We got a history.
Yeah,
report now.
This takes us through like the halfway. I think just about halfway through 2020. Apparently, the world is ending. There's coronavirus. There's some rivers running red. There are death hornets. There are riots in the street, and we're still kicking. So assuming the world survives 2020, there might be some more of these going forward. I don't know if all of us will come back to future ones, but we'll still get more from the next couple presidents. So I guess we're going to wish them liberty and wish them luck.
Sweet. Sounds
Hey,
good.
Garrett and Drake.
Bye.
Garrett and Drake.
Yep.
Yeah.
Did you guys still want to do the ANCAP versus minarchism, or however you want to phrase that, in the fall?
Whenever you set it up.
Well, I tried last
Dang.
time, but that was up to Garrett, who pushed it back.
Debates are so developed. We're doing these debates now.
Right.
ANCAP versus minarchism. Are you
This one's
serious?
been in the works for a while now.
Back in my day, it was two of us at Catskeller at like 11, and that's how those debates went.
No,
I
this
took the
debate
group to
happened-
Max Pub every week. That's what we did. Max Pub across the street.
This one
Max.
happened.
We now do
from
Max
like
as
8
it-
till 10 p.m.
We now do Max as an after party to the debates, and usually have a whole bunch of people show
Yes.
up to that.
Yeah, that's
Love
actually
it.
really fun.
And that's our recruiting drive where we pull a couple of people from the Republican Party afterwards, because first they see that we're smarter than them, then they see that we're like more fun than them, and then they leave and join us.
Nice.
That's a great
Democrats
model.
don't show up to the after party much. They
The
will
de-
occasionally,
debaters
but not
do.
much.
The debaters have showed up, but I don't know if their people have really showed up.
Yeah, not really.
Because then you could actually like talk to them outside of the actual debate.
Okay, so
All right, fellas. Well, hey, it was good connecting with everyone. Let's stay in touch, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah,
nice
good
meeting you
listening.
all.
peace.
Be curious to see how things develop.